I am California of the past.
I am California of the past.
I
I
am
am California of the past.
Hi, I'm Pablo Pereira. I've been a Calabasas resident for about a dozen years, and here's my story. I grew up on the west side of LA in the Brentwood area, and in a home my parents still live in to this day. Calabasas has kind of got an interesting history for me. When I was growing up and a little boy, my father was the chief architect of the Motion Picture Relief Hospital, which technically is in Woodland Hills, but we kind of own it here in Calabasas, you'd like to say. I remember coming out here as a little boy, and I remember just being amazed that there was nothing out here. I mean, nothing at all. I don't remember any buildings. I remember being a little bit bored because my dad would be working on this big hospital project out here, and there really wasn't a lot to do. I did a little research and found out that his uncle, William Pereira, who was also an architect, actually designed the very first motion picture fund home in this area back in the 1940s. So we had kind of a rich history out here, although I didn't travel much out to the valley, being a West Sider. What was interesting then is it seemed like I came from a long line of architects, and maybe that was my destiny or my future. But the only problem for me is I couldn't draw. My parents sent me to art classes and more art classes, and I just didn't have the knack for drawing. So I dreamed about what else it is I might do one day. And I always had this great fascination with space and the Apollo missions. So about the time I was coming out to Calabasas, which wasn't really Calabasas at the time, with my dad, I started thinking about becoming an astronaut. And I sat down and I actually wrote Neil Armstrong a letter back in July or June of 1969, I believe. That's when the Apollo 11 mission was. And I'd like to share this letter with you. It said, "Dear NASA, my name is Don Pablo Pereira. I'm 10 years old. I would like to ask you a question. I know that you will have more flights than just the Apollo 11, and it costs billions of dollars to have a rocket built. My question is, I would like to know if I could be the first boy on the moon, say around Apollo 15. Please send a letter back soon. Even if I can't, I would like pictures and things sent to me." So I sent that letter off in early June 1969, and certainly never expected to hear from Neil Armstrong. I figured he had more important things to do, and as this old TV guide I have suggests, this was certainly a big topic back then. But just 2 weeks before he actually left for the moon, Neil Armstrong wrote me this personal letter. And it was short, and I knew it wasn't a form letter because he signed it right here, and he said, "Dear Don, thank you very much for your nice letter, which I received recently. I'm also pleased to hear from our young people, especially those with a keen interest in our activities like yourself. Kindest regards, Neil Armstrong, Commander, Apollo 11. Well, this was obviously probably the highlight of my young life, and years later when I was working at a TV station in Dallas, Buzz Aldrin, who happened to be the second man to actually walk on the moon, was on our TV show. And I had this letter in my file at work, and I had the actual envelope I got, and I got Buzz Aldrin to sign that envelope for me. So now what I have is autographs of the first two people to ever walk on the moon, and these are probably my most prized possessions. So while this has very little to do with my original story of coming to Calabasas, I learned very on by coming to Calabasas that I couldn't draw. I wasn't going to be an architect. I ended up not being an astronaut either, but it kind of sparked my interest in meteorology and studying the skies and the heavens. So in a small way, I've kind of done what I've wanted, and maybe the most interesting thing is I live here now in Calabasas, and that's my story.